The pickup truck has long been considered the backbone of the American auto market. For decades, trucks symbolized durability, strength, and freedom on the open road, while also serving as essential workhorses for countless industries. But in today's market, things are changing fast. Rising prices, shifting buyer preferences, and questionable design decisions from major automakers have left certain trucks struggling to hold their ground. Some are outdated relics that should have been retired years ago, while others are shiny new experiments that simply miss the mark. In this video, we're diving deep into the 12 pickup trucks you should absolutely avoid buying right now. These are the models that might look appealing on the surface, loaded with marketing hype, slick commercials, or bold promises. But once you scratch beneath the paint, the flaws become impossible to ignore. Whether it's overpriced trims, outdated designs, poor reliability, or a complete mismatch between what buyers want and what automakers are selling. These trucks are sitting unsold on dealer lots for very good reasons. Now, before we get into the countdown, make sure you hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications. We're constantly breaking down the latest auto industry news, market shifts, and buyer guides that help you save money and avoid getting burned on your next vehicle. Don't miss out. Your next truck purchase could be riding on it. Are you ready? Let's get started. Number 12 is the Chevrolet Colorado. The Chevrolet Colorado was supposed to represent a strong comeback for mid-sized trucks with its redesign, but instead, it's become an example of how a good idea can stumble when execution goes wrong. Chevy's decision to eliminate cheaper trims has pushed the Colorado into a pricing bracket that makes very little sense. Instead of being an affordable option for buyers who don't want a full-size truck, it's now priced dangerously close to its bigger sibling, the Silverado. And when faced with the choice between a mid-sized truck that costs nearly as much as a full-size, most buyers don't hesitate to step up into the larger, more capable option. Even with fresh styling and improved technology, the Colorado simply doesn't feel like enough truck for the money. The interior, while more modern, still carries that cost-cutting GM feeling that leaves a lot to be desired. And with buyers becoming more price-conscious than ever, the lack of a true budget-friendly trim has left the Colorado sitting longer on dealer lots than Chevrolet would like to admit. It's a perfect example of how pricing missteps can completely derail what should have been a strong competitor in the mid-size truck market. Number 11 is the Ford Ranger. The Ranger's reintroduction to the American market was supposed to be a triumph, a comeback story for one of Ford's most beloved small trucks. But when the new redesign finally landed in 2024, the hype quickly fizzled. The problem? The Ranger doesn't seem to know what it wants to be. It's wedged awkwardly between the compact Maverick, which is cheaper and appeals to budget-conscious buyers, and the full-size F-150, which offers far more capability for just a bit more money. That leaves the Ranger in no man's land, with pricing that feels too high for what you're actually getting. On paper, the Ranger offers solid power and the promise of off-road trims like the Raptor. But the reality is that its mainstream models feel underwhelming. The cabin space is tight, the value proposition is weak, and the overall design feels like it's trying too hard to be everything at once without excelling in any one category. For many buyers, the Maverick is the smarter purchase, and for others, stretching to an F-150 makes more sense. That leaves the Ranger stuck in the middle, struggling to carve out a niche. Ford's gamble to revive the nameplate hasn't paid off yet, and the market is showing its disinterest loud and clear. Number 10 is the Ram 1500 Classic. The Ram 1500 Classic is a relic from a past generation that just refuses to die. Originally kept around as a cheaper alternative to the newer Ram 1500, the Classic has now overstayed its welcome in the marketplace. On the surface, the idea makes sense. Offer a budget-friendly truck for those who don't want all the bells and whistles. But the reality is that the Classic has become so outdated that even steep discounts can't save it. Buyers today expect at least some degree of modern tech, safety features, and interior comfort. But the Classic delivers none of that. What you're left with is a truck that feels more like a used vehicle than a new one, even when it's sitting brand new on the lot. Its dated design, lack of refinement, and weaker resale value make it a tough sell compared to newer rivals. Ram kept the Classic alive to keep sales numbers padded. But in 2025, it's clear the strategy has backfired. Instead of offering value, it just highlights how far behind the Classic is compared to the competition. Number 9 is the Toyota Tundra. The Toyota Tundra was once seen as the bulletproof alternative to the Big Three, a truck you could count on to run forever with minimal issues. But when Toyota finally redesigned it, the decision to ditch the naturally aspirated V8 for a twin-turbocharged V6 shocked longtime fans. Buyers who had trusted Toyota for simplicity and reliability suddenly found themselves staring at a far more complicated powertrain, complete with early reliability concerns and costly repairs. That change alone alienated many loyalists who had stuck with the Tundra for decades. And it's not just the engine. Rising prices have put the Tundra in direct competition with trucks that offer better interiors, smoother rides, and more proven capabilities. Early recalls further hurt Toyota's credibility, making it one of the few times the brand has stumbled in the truck segment. Dealerships that once couldn't keep Tundras in stock are now sitting on unsold inventory, waiting for buyers who are hesitant to take the risk. The Tundra's reputation may recover in time, but right now, it's a truck that simply doesn't live up to its legacy or its price tag. Number 8 is the Toyota Tacoma. The Toyota Tacoma has long been the undisputed king of midsize pickups, with a reputation for reliability and off-road prowess that few trucks could match. But by the end of its last generation, the shine had worn off. Buyers quickly realized that the Tacoma's outdated powertrains, cramped cabins, and bare-bones interior design couldn't keep pace with modern competitors. Once considered a no-brainer purchase, the outgoing Tacoma began to linger unsold as shoppers eagerly waited for the redesigned 2024 version. It's a rare misstep for Toyota, but the evidence was everywhere. Dealers who once couldn't keep Tacomas on their lots were suddenly stuck with aging inventory. The old model simply felt obsolete, especially with rivals offering more comfortable rides, better towing, and tech that didn't look like it came straight out of 2010. For many, buying the outgoing Tacoma in its final years was like paying full price for yesterday's technology, and the market punished it accordingly. Number 7 is the Honda Ridgeline. The Honda Ridgeline is a truck that never quite fit in. Built on a unibody platform instead of the traditional body-on-frame design, it offered a smoother ride and clever features like the in-bed trunk and dual-action tailgate. On paper, it was a smart alternative for people who wanted a truck's utility without sacrificing daily drivability. But in practice, truck buyers overwhelmingly dismissed it as not a real truck. That stigma has stuck with the Ridgeline throughout its life. And as Honda shifts more attention toward SUVs and EVs, the truck has been left to languish. Sales are falling sharply, and with limited updates, the Ridgeline feels like an afterthought in Honda's lineup. The reality is that in a market dominated by brand loyalty and rugged image, the Ridgeline never managed to win over traditional truck buyers. Instead of redefining what a truck could be, it became a niche option that most consumers were happy to pass on. Number 6 is the GMC Hummer EV. The GMC Hummer EV launched with enormous hype. A 1,000 horsepower all-electric super truck with crab-walking wheels, futuristic tech, and a design meant to resurrect the legendary Hummer name. On paper, it seemed like the ultimate halo vehicle. But in reality, the Hummer EV is one of the most impractical trucks ever built. With a curb weight of over 9,000 pounds, it's a behemoth that eats tires, requires special charging considerations, and feels more like a science experiment than a usable pickup. Then there's the price. With most versions starting well over $100,000, the Hummer EV is so expensive that it appeals to only a tiny sliver of buyers. And even among those buyers, many are walking away, realizing that for the money, you could have a luxury SUV and a capable gas-powered truck combined. Despite the media buzz, dealers are finding these trucks unsold for months, collecting dust on lots. It's a case study in what happens when a flashy concept doesn't translate into real-world demand. Number 5 is the Nissan Titan. If there's one truck that embodies failure in the US full-size market, it's the Nissan Titan. For nearly 2 decades, Nissan tried to compete with Ford, Chevy, and Ram, but it never cracked the formula. Weak brand loyalty, uninspired design, and limited trim choices doomed the Titan from the start. While Ford sells more F-150s in a single week than Nissan sold Titans in an entire year, the Titan was left fighting over scraps in a market where buyers simply didn't care about it. Now, the story is officially over. Nissan has announced that the Titan will be discontinued after 2024, finally admitting what the market has been saying all along: there's no place for this truck. For years, it existed in a weird in-between, too expensive compared to smaller trucks, yet lacking the features, capability, and brand strength to stand up to the big players. If you're looking for a vehicle with staying power, the Titan is the exact opposite, a dying nameplate that never managed to matter. Number 4 is the GMC Canyon. The GMC Canyon was marketed as the premium mid-sized truck in GM's lineup, aimed at buyers who wanted something a little more upscale than the Chevrolet Colorado. But that strategy has completely backfired. With pricing that nearly overlaps with full-size models, the Canyon is stuck in a strange limbo. Buyers walk into showrooms expecting to get something more refined than the Colorado, only to realize that for just a bit more money, they could drive home a Silverado. And when the choice is between a mid-sized truck pretending to be premium or a full-size truck with real capability, most shoppers don't hesitate to pick the latter. The Canyon's interior doesn't help its case either. While GM has tried to dress it up with more upscale touches, it still feels underwhelming for the price point. Add to that limited availability of lower trims and high monthly payments, and the Canyon has become one of the hardest trucks in GM's lineup to justify. Dealers are reporting growing inventory, and it's clear that the so-called premium midsize concept isn't resonating with actual truck buyers. Number 3 is the Chevrolet Silverado 1500. On paper, the Silverado should be one of the safest bets in the truck market. It's a proven full-size pickup with strong towing numbers and broad availability across trims, but in reality, it's falling behind its rivals in ways that matter most to buyers. The interior, for one, has been a constant complaint, feeling cheap and uninspired compared to what Ram and Ford offer. Buyers who step inside often get the sense that GM cut corners, and when trucks are pushing well into luxury price territory, that's not acceptable. Then there's the pricing problem. Inflation and demand spikes have pushed the Silverado's costs higher and higher, to the point where many trims no longer feel like good value. Shoppers are left wondering why they should pay luxury-level money for a truck that feels less refined than its competition. Yes, it still sells in big numbers thanks to loyalists and fleet sales, but in terms of appeal, it's slipping badly. For many buyers, the Silverado is no longer the obvious choice. It's the truck you settle for when the others are out of reach. Number 2 is the Ford F-150 Lightning. When it was first announced, the Ford F-150 Lightning looked like the future of trucks. Ford took America's best-selling vehicle and electrified it, promising instant torque, innovative features, and a clear step forward into the EV era. But reality has been far less exciting. Pricing has soared far beyond initial expectations, leaving many buyers priced out of the market. On top of that, real-world towing drastically cuts into range, sometimes by more than half, making the Lightning far less practical for the very truck owners it was supposed to win over. Add to that waning enthusiasm for EVs in general, and the Lightning has quickly shifted from the next big thing to a problem Ford is scrambling to manage. Incentives are piling up, production has been cut back, and unsold Lightnings are beginning to gather on dealer lots. For a vehicle that was supposed to define the next generation of trucks, its struggles highlight just how complicated the EV transition really is. Number 1 is the Jeep Gladiator. Few trucks entered the market with as much hype as the Jeep Gladiator. Billed as a Wrangler with a bed, it was supposed to combine off-road capability with everyday practicality. But once the novelty wore off, buyers quickly realized its flaws. The Gladiator's ride quality is rough and uncomfortable on pavement. Its proportions are awkward, and its trims are so overpriced that they overlap with more capable trucks from other brands. In a competitive market, the Gladiator's weaknesses stand out in ways Jeep can't gloss over with marketing. The result? Dealers are watching Gladiators sit for months without moving, even as incentives stack up. Buyers who want an off-road Jeep still prefer the Wrangler, and buyers who want a truck can find better refinement and value elsewhere. What was once one of the most talked about launches in recent memory has become one of the slowest-selling trucks on the market. The Gladiator proves that hype can only carry a vehicle so far. At the end of the day, it has to deliver, and this Jeep simply doesn't. The pickup truck market is more crowded and competitive than ever, but not every model deserves your hard-earned money. From overpriced experiments to outdated holdovers, the 12 trucks we've covered today highlight the pitfalls that buyers need to avoid. Whether it's the impractical Hummer EV, the dying Nissan Titan, or the overhyped Gladiator, each of these models shows how quickly the market punishes trucks that don't get it right. If you're shopping for a pickup, do your research, test drive multiple options, and don't fall for marketing hype. The right truck should fit your budget, meet your needs, and hold its value, not leave you with regrets the moment you drive it off the lot. Thanks for watching. If you found this breakdown helpful, make sure to subscribe to the channel and turn on notifications so you never miss our deep dives into the auto market. We've got more guides, rankings, and buyer advice coming soon. So stick around. Your next vehicle decision could depend on it.